to share my general thoughts on depersonalization. Thank you, Ryan, for your question. I imagine you brought that up because you must have heard me kind of mention it in a previous program. Yeah, depersonalization is one of those things that is fascinating. I would not want anyone to go through it though, because it's a terrible feeling. And yes, I have gone through it, and there's not much you can do about it. That's the sad thing when it comes down to it. With depersonalization, is a really odd feeling. It's almost tough to describe and tough to envision unless you've experienced it before, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Where you feel, well, as the name implies, depersonalized, but to be more descriptive, you know how when you look out your eyes, you feel the world, you take it in, you feel like you are in your body, right? You feel like, alright, I'm sitting here, I'm standing here, I'm listening to this show right now. I'm grounded, I'm me. When you're going through depersonalization, you don't feel like you're kind of attached to yourself anymore. Rather, you feel like you're kind of watching your own life through a screen. It's the weirdest thing. I know, it sounds really weird, but that's how it is. And it's like, imagine if you're sitting there watching a YouTube video that's filmed in first-person perspective, right? And you're seeing, from like the camera view anyway, that looks like what this person's eyes are seeing. That's your life. But obviously you do not feel that physical connection to the video, right? You feel like you're just sitting there watching this, and that's something else. It's just a video, right? You're just watching TV or some online video. That's how it feels, depersonalization. It feels like you're in control, but you're really not in control, and you're just kind of an observer, not actually in control of anything. And it's the weirdest feeling, and it's a terrible one at that. And there's no way to make it go away. Once you kind of get that feeling, the only thing that'll make it go away is time. And it'll go away whenever it does. Yes, that's something that I deal with. I don't really talk about it much because I don't want to. There's a good example. You don't let anything that ails you control you. Don't let that define your life, So I don't really talk about it very much. But yes, I've dealt with that in the past. Sometimes it's for shorter periods of time. Sometimes it's for longer bouts. The longest time that I've ever had it was for about 2 or 3 weeks. Every day, just constantly. And I've had that happen to me about a few times. The weirdest thing, when you do deal with depersonalization, derealization, they're pretty much the same thing. How it alters your perception of time, anyway. It's what it did for me. Time you just don't really have much of a connection to the world anymore. And time just flies by. It's crazy. Those were probably some of the fastest weeks of my life, because I didn't have that kind of a grounded connection with things. But depersonalization is just a really weird thing. But Ryan, if you're going through it, and if you're kind of dealing with that, one thing I recommend, and it sounds very easy, but it is something to consider, is put on a pair of sunglasses. I know that sounds kind of funny and weird, and you might have already heard that one. But one thing, it doesn't make it go away, but sometimes it helps, is if you put on a pair of sunglasses, sometimes such a tiny little change like that will actually do a lot of good to kind of help you get through it better. It sounds weird, but again, if you're going through it, you get it. But thank you, Ryan, for your topic.